What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of U4 Summertime Rendering. This is episode 12, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Well, the episode title really lives up to its name, title Bloody Night, and this was the most bloodiest we've ever seen. The show go on so far.
Yeah.
I mean, like we've seen crazy before, but this is like the most bloody we've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's definitely the most brutal episode of the series so far. Mostly because of how much dismemberment we see, and specifically because we see Shin's eye getting plucked out. Which I kind of figured I'm actually surprised didn't happen. I think it was like episode 5. As soon as like that one shadow figured out his eye was the source of his time travel abilities, I thought they try to pluck his eye out, but they actually do that in this episode. So
yeah, we learn more about about the eye, and it appears it is a shadow eye, and what was it? Heine points out that it was Ushio who gave Shinpei that eye. I mean, we know, like we've seen that in the prologue of episode 1, but we don't even know like how she came into contact with that eye, or how she came in possession of it to give it to Shinpei in the first place.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely some things that might have happened that Shinpei doesn't, for whatever reason, doesn't remember, and Ushio doesn't remember as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the start of this episode, once Shinpei and the others confront Heine for the first time, they find out that Heine is actually the Shadow Shiori they've been going after this entire time, and of course, the same person or thing that killed the real Ushio in the first place.
Yeah, and we also find out apparently she's actually the island god, or the island deity or something.
That supposedly that's that's what the shadows are claiming, but so basically, like they're like Shinpei's just like at this point just learning as much as he can from Heine and what she's capable of, and we also get to find out as to why So's father and his sister Tokiko are working with the shadows, is because they're trying to help. According to Tokiko, they're trying to help their mother, who was initially suffering from kind of disease, but apparently she got cured. But however, they find out. Well, So finds out that their mother is actually a shadow, which which confirms like that shadow in the wheelchair we saw back in episode 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say we actually did. Yeah, that was probably who that shadow was.
Yeah, so this pretty much like completely shocks. So like as to why like Tokiko is doing this, and Tokiko just retorts back saying like everything has been put on her, to carry out this whole thing, for her father, and then things like pretty much go south when Tokiko finds out that the shadows aren't really interested in helping either her or her father, because they're mainly they're just mainly like out for their own goals, instead of helping the ones that's serving them, I guess.
Yeah, they were pretty much just using her the whole time. It's like when that one like big shadow shows up and just kind of confirms that she was just kind of that they were just kind of using her for their own purposes.
Yeah, and then but there was also that other scene, other part where they bring in 2 caskets of two bodies, in which is used to feed Heine. Of course, they found one is just a regular guy, and the other one is, of course, Ushio's corpse from the funeral, which they initially thought that her body was cremated, but Tokiko reveals that that the other body was a fake, and they just gave him fake ashes. So the actual body was actually being used to give to Heine to feed her. So once so once Shinpei finds that Heine is going to, I guess, consume her body, he uses it as an opening to shoot at her. So the actual, the Shadow Ushio can go and retrieve her body and use it to copy her, copy her, her original self to reform her arm that was injured much earlier in several episodes ago.
Yeah. We find out that Heine basically, like, she's pretty much just being I guess she just is she doesn't really seem to have any kind of, like, as far as we know right now, like, we don't really know what her motive is aside from she just wants to eat, I guess. She just she just loves to consume people.
Yeah, it's I think they said it's more of like a yearly thing for her because she has to regularly consume humans.
Yeah.
And I think Tokiko also mentioned that at least about a few people at a time end up dying on the island. But I think she kind of mentions that some of the people on that island obviously get replaced by shadows because we do remember that a few people are shadows, including like one of the.
Yeah.
But it leads. But the confrontation just pretty much escalates to the point where Shinpei is literally about to shoot Heine. But of course, the big shadow ends up, pretty much cutting out all of his fingers all at once, and he also brings out an unconscious Mio as a hostage and threatening to crush her skull, which of course shocks Tokiko because she made a deal that, like, if she worked with them, then Mio would be spared. But of course they break that promise by, of course, trying to shoot Tokiko, but So ends up taking the shot instead, and he ends up dying from it. But of course, Tokiko ends up dying anyway by being shot in the head. And then soon after that, Mio's head just immediately gets crushed soon after that.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course we also see, what was it? Ryunosuke. She had been pretty badly injured in the last episode. She's still suffering from that wound. We also see, I keep forgetting the cop's name.
I think his name is Tetsu.
Yeah, he of course shows up and tries to help. But
yeah, well, he goes into what actually happened between him and Mio, because he mentions that they were all surrounded by these shadow baby creatures, and then all of a sudden Mio gets captured, and Tetsu not only loses his gun, but he has to run away at the same time. So that's where he ends up running into Ryunosuke, which Ryunosuke, of course, asks Tetsu to help her get her deeper into the cave to confront Heine, which eventually she does, and she ends up she tries to use her last couple shots to shoot Shinpei in the head, but of course the big shadow anticipates this and then just pretty much shoots Ryunosuke in the eye, killing her.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of figured that Shinpei was screwed at this point, because Ushio also gets captured, and they try to I guess they try to sort of convert her over to their side. But surprisingly, Ushio is able to resist this with her powers.
Yeah, supposedly she's able to use the power against Heine. How she's doing it is unknown, but it continues to to show that this Shadow Ushio is some kind of special case, which I guess Heine fears to some extent.
Yeah,
but we just don't know we just don't really know how different of a shadow this Shadow Ushio is. But anyway, while that's happening, soon after, once Ryunosuke dies, Shinpei uses it as an opening to consume a bottle of like what was it, mercuric chloride that he got from an old medicine cabinet in the clinic.
Yeah, we learned from a flashback this is kind of like his backup plan, I guess. If stuff goes wrong, he would just poison himself. I thought what would happen too is he would like replicate, or he would try to copy one of the guns or something and try to shoot himself. But instead he poisons himself. He kind of goes out in like the worst way because he just like swallows poison.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he can't shoot himself because he basically has no fingers left.
That's true. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, because like consuming the chloride was his only option. But of course, like you said, it's the most painful experience for him to endure before he ends up.
Was it before this that they plucked his eye out too? Because I think
Well, yeah, they plucked his eye, but then he gets it back. Shortly
I was kind of
after
surprised by that. Like I didn't like. I guess that kind of shows that his like I was kind of wondering what would happen if they plucked out his eye. Like, would he like permanently lose his powers? But it seems like he can actually get it back, even if it is plucked out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course the giant shadow mentions that it has the special ability to traverse through like I guess various multiverses. But
yeah, basically
but of course
what it reveals is that every time he goes back in time, like he's actually like recreating everything, or as they say, rendering it, I guess, hence the title. So yeah, he like renders it everything, and then he goes back to that particular point in time.
Yeah, but of course the giant shadow confirms that Shinpei has no control over it, which pretty much confirms that because every time Shinpei goes back, he's always put back in a point in time further than where he originally was.
I wonder if that like if those scenes where he's like talking to himself, I wonder if maybe that's like a repressed version of him or something that maybe knows more about the situation than the current version of him does or something. Maybe it's like his repressed memories, because like obviously there's stuff I think that might have happened in the future that he doesn't remember or something. Like I feel like there's some kind of plot twist with that.
To me, I think that's either his shadow or it's a future version of himself from a further point in time.
I'm not really sure why his shadow would be helping him like that though, because we have seen his shadow, and his shadow is like a malevolent entity that wants to kill him and his friends.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe him, that could be his future self would be a more likely scenario, but right now I just can't say for sure at this point until we get to learn a little bit more of I guess of what's going to happen. But this episode pretty much confirms a lot of stuff. But of course, we still have a lot of questions here and there. But we do know what the reason for So's father is doing, working with the shadows, and who the shadow in the wheelchair is back in episode 5. And I guess now with Shinpei going to the next loop, he's gonna have to figure a way out to try to beat Giant Shadow and Heine at the same time.
Well, another interesting thing too is that we know now that Ushio is actually able to go back with him, because she as Shinpei is about to die, like she takes his hand and he goes back in time with him. And we learned that the new checkpoint now is like when he started talking to what was the other?
To Ryunosuke?
Well, yeah, technically it's the sister.
Yeah, Hizuru.
So like when he talks to Hizuru, she starts to, and then it's like when she asks like if he's a time traveler, and he confirms that he is. But then of course we see Ushio appear right beside him. So yeah, like I guess now she could travel with him through time.
Yeah, I mean, the last time she appeared was like back on the beach side, but now she can apparently travel with Shinpei, the next time he loops. So we'll have to find out where how Shinpei is going to handle this next loop now after everything that he's learned over the course of the last
Yeah,
one.
because there's like a lot of stuff that he knows about. So I think maybe to me that what would make the most sense is immediately like investigating, like, telling So everything, and then they start to investigate like what his father is up to.
There's one thing I want
And
to
also
point
the
out
thing with
is,
Ushiro's body as well. Like,
well, yeah, but not only that is, I noticed Shinpei still has the black marking on his arm.
yeah. Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that because, like, yeah, he still has that, and I'm wondering what that means. Like, does that mean like he's a? I'm not really sure. Like,
because I don't know. I feel like that's because he gets that black hand mark in his arm like much later in that timeline, but it appears like he still has it once he looped further back, back in that point in time. But I don't know. I feel like something's gonna happen. Like, it leads me to believe that Heine might be keeping track of Shinpei with that marking at his arm.
yeah, because this time Shinpei kind of directly confronted her as opposed to the other time where she only like saw him that one time, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see what happens this time around in this next loop. But yeah, it's just I don't know if this is the last episode of this core or if it's the next one, or whether or not they're gonna actually continue.
It would be
this
a weird
into the
way to
next
end the core if this was the last episode, though. But then like we mentioned before, like he's getting into another loop, so if they did it into the next episode, I'm really not sure how they would do it. So it could be that they're just kind of not really taking a break and you're going to be putting out episodes consistently, but I'm not sure. The way things are going, it kind of makes it seem that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also the fact is, whether or not Disney is gonna finally release this on stateside pretty soon, because
I'm very curious as to how that's going to be done, because this series is it's very violent, it's very brutal. Like, it is not for kids, obviously. So
I mean, they need to put disclaimers on each and every one of their episodes just before watching this, because lately, like, they have been putting disclaimers, like like they did with a couple episodes of Obi-Wan or The Punisher, Daredevil, and all that stuff. But this one is like under similar circumstances, and considering like how freaking bloody this episode was, yeah, they're going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, of course that, and also just the fan service as well. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to be very interested to see like how Disney's going to actually handle this. Disney doesn't really have a lot of experience with, like, I guess like with anime in general, as opposed to maybe the Star Wars Visions.
Yeah,
I mean,
and Star Wars
Studio
Visions,
Ghibli, but that's more family friendly stuff. So, I don't know. All right.
Yeah, I mean, right now, like, technically it is coming out on Disney Plus, not only Japan, but I think they mentioned New Zealand, Hong Kong, and Indonesia is also getting it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think they said they're getting it on a weekly basis. So I don't know how they're not doing it here on stateside, unless, like I said, if they want to release it all at once with an English dub version released at the same time. I mean, it wouldn't hurt for them to just release it all at once. I am
wondering if they're going to follow the Netflix model and just do that. But then again, Netflix has also kind of learned that it's a better idea to put the episodes out weekly, which they have been doing with some of their anime.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, as of right now, we don't know. We don't know, like, if the show is gonna continue its next core consecutively into the summer. No pun intended. But it's hard to tell. I mean, I haven't heard any news on whether or not this is the last episode of the core, or the next one. But we'll see. But so far, like, I am enjoying the this anime. And personally, I think it's like I mentioned this on Twitter, but I think this is gonna be like anime of the year if things continue the way it is.
Possibly. Like we do have some coming out in the winter. So yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty definitely one of the better animes that's come out recently. But yeah, guys. So I don't really have anything else to say about it. I don't know if you have anything else to say about the episode.
Yeah. I am still enjoying the show. I mean, hopefully I really hope they, continue into the next score consecutively rather than taking a break.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. It's like, it's hard not to stop watching this, this show right now. And hopefully like they release this on Disney Plus pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah. So that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.